We see the incumbent typically lose seats in the House, so all politics are local. They're going to take it out on people that whether it's their senators, whether it's the people that they send to the House.
The Republicans are doing a lot better if they had sent more candidates that were not populist conservatives, if they were sending people that were a lot more normal and, less, rhetorically inflammatory, if they sent people that were more about the pursuit of happiness and less about the pursuit of misery, saying the other side is stupid and evil. Now, the same thing is true for the Democrats, of course. The fewer radicals, cultural left candidates they put up, the better they do. And the reason is because 70 to 80% of Americans hate the direction that the country is going in with respect to the rhetoric being hijacked by the populist right and the cultural left. Most Americans, they want a spirit of compromise. They think there's a lot that we can do together, but they recognize that this whole political situation that we're in is being driven by this populist right-wing rhetoric, but most importantly right now, especially in the schools and what we see on campuses and with the Democratic majorities right now, with the cultural left. I mean, most Democrats that I talk to don't even agree with this. They hate this. And if only they could come to the middle and start talking more about compromise, more about, hey, the pursuit of happiness, imagine that, we could be doing a lot better. And the party that committed itself to that would be winning a lot more.
Arthur, I wanted to mention Frank Luntz. And his deep concern that he expressed this morning that, come Election Day and the days after, there may be concern that there are senators and prospective congressmen and women that may say, look, that may have actually lost and try to claim that they won, and that this is something that has been sort of in the water, being set up almost as something that could create even more chaos in this country. What do you say about that? What do you think should happen?
Yeah, we need candidates that are, and we need, major party candidates that commit themselves to not doing that beforehand, a priori commitments. Now, that stuff really works in politics. One of my old friend Grover Norquist at Americans for Tax Reform, his great genius was getting candidates to lash themselves to the mast about tax policy before they ever got any support. We actually need candidates that start saying, no matter what happens in this election, and tying themselves to support, campaign support, for example, to not contest elections after they happen. Look, this problem is not a 2020 problem. On the contrary, it really picked up steam in 2016 when a lot of Democrats were denying the validity of the presidential election when Donald Trump clearly, legally got elected. And lots of Democrats were denying that. So that was really the first time wholesale we started seeing it.
Arthur,
then, of course, it picked up even more steam in 2020.
I'm going to make two arguments you can disagree with. One is that I actually think this happened with Gore v. Bush. That's actually probably when this began in earnest on both sides. And I will admit that there's a both sides issue to it. Yeah. I think the issue you're referring to when it comes to Trump was slightly different than the way you're suggesting. And then I would argue that come 2020, it moved into high gear in a way we've never seen before in this country, in a demonstrably dangerous way. You may disagree with what I'm saying, but I think there's a lot of Americans that feel that way.
Well, in 2016, for example, we had a number of Democratic senators that were saying that it was inappropriate to certify the election. That was not the first time we saw it in 2020. Again, this is not both sidesism. The point is that this is a direction, and Frank is right, that the country is going in, that it's becoming mainstream to deny the legitimate outcome of democratic elections in this country. It picked up steam, of course, in 2020 when the presidential candidate who lost actually suggested that the election was stolen and tried to create a mass movement in that regard. For sure, it picked up steam in 2020. The point is this has been building for a long time, and it's time for normal candidates. People like, I live in a blue state with a great Republican governor. The best governor in America is Charlie Baker, as far as I'm concerned. This is normal behavior. What we actually need at the national level, the federal levels, to actually look at what's going on in states that are relatively functional, where we have bipartisan governance and a whole bunch of compromise, and people that would never dream of engaging in this kind of craziness. This is really what's, I think, the greatest threat to our democracy is people denying the democracy when it's convenient for them to do so.